Good day everyone, my name is Goh Sing Rong. Today my partner Nina Fahanim and me are going to present about the final report of SQQP 4073, Research in Quantitative Science 2. We are from Group D and our lecturer is Dr. Nurul Naziha binti Hawari. Our research title is Discrete Event Simulation Approach on Registration Department to Improve Queuing System. Next, I would like to present the abstract of this research. This research aim is to develop a simulation model of queuing system in analyzing the service performance at the Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah using Arena software version 14.5. The bottleneck is identify which is long queues in the system and the alternatives was tested to improve the system. Besides that, a primary data collection method has been carried out in this research. In short, the best alternatives from findings is to add staff at counters that have long queues and combine counter as the staff or resource is underutilized. Next, we continue with the background of the study. According to the Kinetic Modeling and Simulation website, Discrete Event Simulation (DES) is a method for simulating real-world systems that may be broken down into a series of conceptually distinct processes that progress independently across time. Some say simulation is frequently used in manufacturing for process improvement analysis and as a tool to address a variety of problems resulting in enhanced efficiency, cost savings, and profitability. A simulation is a model that tries to replicate the real world. In Malaysia, Malaysians are familiar with the challenge of waiting in queues, particularly at the hospital, bank, and post office, as well as in restaurants. People may be irritated while waiting in lines or queuing, and the hardest part is when they have to wait for hours to be served. The National Registration Department (NRD) is a department under the purview of the Ministry of Home Affairs, and it is responsible for the registration of important events of every individual, such as birth, death, adoption, marriage, and divorce. Next, for the problem statements in this study are JPN has to revise the way of operation aligning to the Standard Operation Procedure (SOP) made by the Majlis Keselamatan Negara (MKN). Besides that, JPN operates until a certain time with 6 counters is a problem that faced by Malaysian too. In addition, another problem is the walk-in service is prohibited and have made appointment online at JPN website due to COVID-19. Next, for research questions are first, what to do in analyzing the service performance at Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah. Second, is there any bottleneck in the system at Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah? And lastly, what need to be done to improve the system at Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah? The research objectives for this study are to develop a simulation model of queuing system in analyzing the service performance at Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah, to identify bottleneck in the system at Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah, and to propose some alternatives in order to improve the system at Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah. Next, for the scope of research is the target population consists of entities and people that are involved in Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah. Besides that, people who enter or have matters as JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah is the data source and it collected through primary method, which is observation. Furthermore, this study aims to do simulation on system performance to improve the service of operation or the flow with some alternatives, minimize costs and prevent crowded people in JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah. Next is methodology. This research refers to the simulation modeling processes that shown in Figure 1, which include problem formulation, determining the objective of the study, data collecting, model building, validation, run the model, report the result, and implement the result. While Figure 2 shows the customer flow process. People arrive at the Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara JPN Cawangan Daerah Kulim Kedah, then take a queue number and wait for their turns. If a customer has to wait too long for a service, some of them may leave the system before their turns. Customers who are willing to wait for the service will do so until their queue number is called by the designated counter, be it birth, identity card, IC, adoption, children, marriage or divorce, date or citizenship counter. At the designated counter, customers will either update their details or fill a form according to their methods. After completing the process, customers will have to wait for several minutes for the identity card, IC or the document to be printed. Then customer can collect their identity card, IC or document, and payment will be made at this process if needed. After collecting their identity card or document, the customer may leave the system. Besides that, the most important step in DES is model verification that shows the performance of the model that was created.
Model development. This is the proposed model or representation of JPN Cawangan Kulim. We use Arena software version 14.5 to do the simulation. Table 1 shows the list of variables for each counter with the resource or resource capacity. Data collected using the primary method through observation. Data collected on a Tuesday at peak hours from 9:30 AM until 12:45 PM. Arrival time, service time, and waiting time are among the data collected. We run the length 3.5 hours, or after converting it to minutes, 210 minutes per day, and the base run is in minutes. We did 5 replications as to represent 5 days of working days. This is the result analysis of the basic model. We found the bottleneck at registration birth counter and IC counter. Thus, we made what-if analysis or model explanation that have 2 alternatives. The first alternative is increase 1 staff at IC counter and registration birth counter, and the alternative 2, just like alternative 1, but we add 1 more, which is combine adoption counter and marriage divorce counter to become one, as it is underutilized. This is the result for alternative 1. There has been changes, but the utilization for adoption counter and marriage divorce counter is below 44%. Thus, alternative 2, the result of alternative 2. As you can see here, it is much better than alternative 1. We did comparison between the initial findings and the alternatives. We found that alternative 2 is the best solution, as the average waiting time is the lowest among the 3, and the overall utilization is alternative 2 as it is 94% and above. So in conclusion, we have achieved all the objectives successfully, and alternative 2, which is increase 1 staff capacity at IC counter and registration birth counter, and also combine adoption counter and marriage counter divorce counter to become 1 counter, is the best solution. Finding of this research may be useful to the JPN Cawangan Kulim. This research may be useful to the service industry, particularly government service. For future research, it is suggested that more observation needs to be done. That is all. Thank you.